Smallville had romances, rivalries, and world-ending threats. But the relationship that quietly shaped Clark Kent, more than any other, wasn't romantic at all. It was his friendship with Chloe Sullivan. And without Chloe, Clark may never have become Superman. Not because of destiny or power, but because of what friendship forced him to learn. So the real question isn't whether Chloe mattered, it's how much and why. Their bond outlasted almost everything else in Smallville. Curiosity, not trust. Clark and Chloe didn't start as best friends. Chloe first approached Clark through her role as a journalist, not as a confidant. At the Torch, she was obsessed with uncovering media-related mysteries through her wall of weird, driven more by curiosity than personal connection. Clark kept appearing near strange events, but Chloe didn't yet understand why. She wasn't studying Clark himself. She was chasing patterns, coincidences, and stories, unaware that Clark was often at the center of them. In episodes like Leech, Chloe reports on the student who temporarily gains Clark's powers without realizing Clark's involvement at all. This early phase isn't about loyalty or emotional safety. It's about friction. Chloe wants answers. Clark needs silence. And that tension, truth versus secrecy, becomes the foundation for everything that follows. At this point, would you have trusted Chloe if you were Clark? Feelings, betrayal, and fracture. As Clark and Chloe grow closer, cracks begin to form. Chloe's feelings for Clark complicate everything. By the end of Season 1 and into Season 2, her crush is no longer subtle. Episodes like Fever make this explicit. When Chloe confesses her feelings for him, Clark cares about Chloe, but his heart is elsewhere, and his secret prevents full honesty. At the same time, Chloe's journalist instincts don't disappear. In Whisper, Clark discovers Chloe has been working with Lionel Luthor, feeding him information in exchange for resources. For Clark, this feels like betrayal. Not because Chloe wanted answers, but because she crossed a line without understanding the cost of what she was uncovering. It creates one of the deepest rifts in their friendship. Clark pulls away. Chloe feels guilt, frustration, and shame. But this period matters. Chloe learns that truth without context can destroy lives. Clark learns that isolation only creates more damage. Instead of breaking them permanently, this conflict forces both to confront what they actually want from each other. Not secrets, not validation, but a friendship that can survive mistakes. Choosing loyalty. After the fractures of earlier seasons, Clark and Chloe rebuild, not through emotion, but through action. At the Torch, and later the Daily Planet, Chloe becomes Clark's primary source of information. The partnership is no longer romantic. It's practical, reliable. Then Season 4 changes everything. When Chloe finally learns Clark's secret, she doesn't react with fear or resentment. She chooses protection. She keeps his secret even when it isolates her, forces her to lie, and puts her in danger. For the first time, Clark experiences someone knowing the truth and staying anyway. In the episode Blank, we get to see Chloe's full redemption as she's the only person around that knows Clark's secret and has to help him deal with his powers. This is the moment their friendship becomes intentional. Chloe stops chasing answers about Clark and starts helping him carry the burden. Clark, in return, opens up emotionally. Trust replaces distance. And this is where Chloe stops being part of Clark's life and becomes part of his mission. Growing into partners. As Clark steps closer to his destiny, Chloe's role expands. She becomes operational support, tracking threats, coordinating rescues, managing information. When Clark struggles with loss, especially after Jonathan Kent's death, Chloe is one of the few people who can reach him without overwhelming him. At the same time, Chloe faces her own trials, dangerous investigations, personal loss, moral tests. Instead of stepping away from danger, she steps further into it. This is where balance forms. Clark no longer carries the world alone, and Chloe is no longer defined by curiosity or unrequited feelings. They operate as equals in purpose, even if their roles differ. Together, they begin to resemble what Superman and Watchtower will eventually become: separate roles, one mission. When friendship outlasts romance. Romantic relationships in Smallville are often intense but fragile, shaped by secrecy, timing, and unresolved emotions. Clark and Chloe's friendship, however, proves more durable than romance ever could. Even after Chloe's feelings for Clark fade into acceptance, their connection remains strong. There is no lingering bitterness, no competition with Lois or others. Instead, there is maturity and mutual respect. Their bond evolves into reliability. Chloe becomes Clark's strategist and moral support. Clark treats Chloe as someone whose judgment he values, not someone working in the background. What makes this meaningful is consistency. While romantic relationships shift, Chloe remains. Their connection isn't driven by attraction, but by shared experience and trust built over years of sacrifice. Shared burden, shared purpose. In the final seasons, Clark and Chloe are no longer uncertain teenagers. They are partners. As Watchtower, Chloe becomes central to the hero network. Clark trusts her with decisions that affect lives. Chloe respects Clark's leadership and moral compass. At the same time, Clark supports Chloe when her responsibilities begin to blur her sense of identity. When power, knowledge, and pressure threaten to overwhelm her, Clark reminds her of who she is beyond the mission. Their dynamic becomes balanced. Each grounds the other when the weight of heroism becomes too heavy. By the series finale, their bond represents something rare, a friendship that has survived secrets, betrayal, heartbreak, danger, and growth. Chloe does not just assist Superman. She helps shape the man behind the symbol. And Clark, in turn, gives Chloe purpose beyond curiosity or ambition. Together, they prove that heroism is not built alone. It is built through trust, partnership, and people who refuse to walk away. Legacy. Why this friendship matters. By the end of Smallville, Chloe and Clark's relationship stands as one of the show's most meaningful long-term connections. It begins with curiosity, jealousy, and misunderstandings, but grows into trust, partnership, and emotional stability. Unlike relationships built on attraction or destiny, theirs is built on choice. Again and again, they choose to stay, to forgive, to adapt, and to support each other. At the end of the day, Smallville wasn't just about becoming Superman. It was about the people who made that possible. And no one did that as consistently, as early, or for as long as Chloe Sullivan. If you watch Smallville for its character depth, not just its powers, subscribe. This channel breaks down the relationships that truly shaped Clark Kent. So, what do you think? Was Chloe and Clark's friendship the most important relationship in Smallville? Let me know in the comments.